without realizing it's spectacular first. So I think that we have incredibly high standards in this community for what we want and where we want it to go. And sometimes they're almost too high and almost unachievable. But we've got all the ingredients, I think, for a really great soup. We just have not made that yet, you know. And I look at the range of cultural opportunities. I look at the range of discussion and discourse, and sometimes it's really messy. But it's engaged, you know. And you know, I'm not going to pick on any local communities, but I could, you know, that never feel as engaged. We're engaged all throughout, and that's a pretty good place to start towards getting better and getting, you know, coming together.
Yeah.
You know,
so we've got 42 languages spoken in this community, which is really amazing to me. That's one of those ingredients that you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about the diversity, I'll start with this, is that you can kind of lull yourself into believing that, you know, I live in Amherst and, oh, that makes me, you know, better than others. Right? I mean, I think that there is that sense, right? You know, among some. And, you know, we do, and I think that there's kind of, it's unseen, but, you know, you have a sense that there's this diversity there. And so you can say, you know, oh, well, you know, this is what we have in Amherst, and these are the type of experiences that my children are exposed to. But to some degree, it's somewhat artificial because there's still gaps, you know. I mean, I think that in many ways they break down, you know, as they do throughout the rest of the Pioneer Valley and throughout the country. You know, some of it is a racial gap that kind of is created artificial or you know, real, depending. There's a socioeconomic gap as well. I think you know, that exists here for sure. But what I'd love to see is just more, you know, within our public square, within our downtown, in a place like here, you know, that there is a more welcoming, more diverse atmosphere rather than sometimes what you see, you know, which can be white upper middle class and, you know, just kind of walking around in that haze. And I think that that's where the mistake can happen here in Amherst, is that you really miss the diversity that is not as apparent in the public square. It needs to be. We're going through a tremendous and rapid and very difficult time where identity from the gender piece, you know, talking about gender fluidity, talking about racial fluidity, I think that that's going to be even more and more something where what doesn't seem apparent, what used to be like, okay, if you looked a little white, then you had to be white, you know, because it was an easier kind of thing to pass. Now people are claiming, you know, the identity of, if they're, you know, if they're African American or Latino, they're claiming that, which is a good thing. So we're seeing what is going to be, I think, a very messy conversation, but it's one that has all the potential for bringing us together in a very different, more profound way, getting us to that real melting pot that we want to be. I think that's a really hard thing, you know, to know yourself, and you know, we're also challenged, I think, by the modern world. You know, we might have a sense of ourselves, but you know, it's always being thrown into question. You know, especially for younger kids. You know, you've got to look a certain way, you've got to be a certain way, you've got to act, you know, a certain way, and so this understanding of who you are takes a really centered person, you know, to really figure that out. So that's why, again, you know, I look at what we're going through here in Amherst, and just like what often happens with, you know, any kind of national conversation in a dynamic college town like the one that we have, those if there are scabs out there, you know, they feel particularly raw here because I think, again, you have engaged and really, you know, by the nature of our college town environment, you have, you know, really smart people having these conversations and it plays out here. And you have smart people everywhere, but I just mean, you know, in a college town, the level of engagement's, you know, it's in a different place.
Which I love. That's one of the ingredients, I think,
absolutely,
you know, make it, you know, possible for us to actually do something kind of cool.
That's right.
Tony, thank you so much.
Carol, thank you. Thank
This
you.
is the best.